to the ITSM Practice Podcast.
Welcome to the ITSM Practice Podcast. I'm Luigi Ferri. I want to start differently today. A few months ago, I attended one of the first DARE25 courses delivered in Europe by its creator, Marco Amadei, a long-time friend of mine. And honestly, one idea immediately clicked in my head. The offense-defense model in risk management. Not because it sounded academic, actually the opposite, because it sounded real. It sounded like what many of us already experience operationally every day, but rarely describe properly, especially in cybersecurity. Because the truth is, most organizations still manage risk as if the game were stable, but it is not anymore stable. AI changed the speed of the offense. And I think many governance models are now under pressure because they were designed for a slower world. That doesn't mean all the frameworks are useless, but it doesn't mean the field changed. And some organizations are still defending yesterday's match. One thing I appreciated immediately in DARE25 is that it treats risk like a dynamic game, not a static checklist. And honestly, after years in ITSM in security environments, I think this is closer to reality that many people want to admit. Attackers adapt. Organizations often don't. Look at shadow AI adoption right now. Business units are already experimenting uploading documents, automating tasks, integrating external AI tools, sometimes without governance even knowing. That is offense-defense behavior already happening inside organizations. And what usually happens? The defense reacts later. Committees start, policies appear, approvals are discussed. Meanwhile, the offense already learned the field. That's the real problem, not technology, is adoption speed. Sometimes people describe cybersecurity like chess. I don't see it that way. To me, risk management feels much closer to rugby. Fast, physical, messy. When impact arrives, it arrives hard. A sitting down on the field doesn't help. You stand up and run again. That's also why I struggle when governance becomes too theoretical. Because in the mid-market especially, many organizations are not operating in ideal conditions. They are firefighting constantly, not because people are incompetent, because budgets are limited, teams are overloaded, technical debt exists everywhere, and operational pressure never stops. So, when people talk about probabilistic thinking, I agree with the idea completely. But operationalizing it is not easy. Many organizations barely have the time to breathe, let alone model probability distributions properly. And this is where I think DARE25 is interesting. It doesn't assume perfection. It assumes volatility. This is probably the strongest opinion I have after years around governance and security. Don't use compliance to replace your brain. Compliance matters, of course it does, but compliance alone does not create adaptability. And sometimes, honestly, organizations hide behind compliance because thinking is harder. I have seen environments where dashboards looked excellent, controls existed everywhere, audits passed, documentation was complete. And then the organization froze completely during real incidents. Why? Because behavior was never trained. The framework existed, the adaptation capability didn't. That's a completely different thing. A DARE25 focuses heavily on this relationship between offense, defense, awareness, reaction, and behavior. That's what makes it operationally interesting to me. I think many people misunderstand purple teaming. They see it as attack simulation, security exercises, or technical collaboration. But honestly, I think the real value is elsewhere. Pressure reveals truth. Always. In rugby, you discover the real team when things become chaotic. Communication, trust, reactions, discipline, accountability. Exactly the same in cybersecurity incidents. And this is another reason the framework resonates with me. Because many organizations still behave as if risk management were mainly documentation. It is not. Risk management is a coordinated behavior under pressure. That's much harder and much more human. One thing I spoke about already in previous podcast episodes is accountability. Because during incidents, accountability often becomes strangely invisible. Nobody wants it end-to-end. And I've seen technically strong organizations fail exactly here. Lack of accountability. Not because technology failed first, because ownership disappeared first. People escalated, committees formed, decisions slowed down. Meanwhile, the offense kept moving. And this is why I think chief information security officers today are in a very difficult position. You will never have the budget you want, the people you want, or the perfect visibility you want. Never. So leadership becomes something else. You're a coach. You do your best with your tools, your people, and the match in front of you. A good coach understands something important. You cannot eliminate every risk. You build teams that adapt. And maybe this is the real point of the episode. Many governance models are under pressure because they still assume predictability, stable environments, slower adaptation cycles, and cleaner boundaries between offense and defense. But AI accelerated everything, especially offensive creativity. And I think many organizations still underestimate this. Not because they are lazy, of course, because adapting governance is harder than buying technology. Much harder. Technology can be purchased quickly. Behavior adaptation cannot. Culture cannot. Trust cannot. Learning cannot. That takes time. So when I think about DARE25, this is what stays with me most. Not the terminology, not the diagrams, not even the controls, the mindset. The idea that the risk is dynamic, adaptive, behavioral, and that organizations survive not because they predict everything correctly, but because they learn, adapt, and recover faster than the pressure hitting them. And that feels real to me, especially today. Because modern cybersecurity is no longer just about protecting systems. You are governing behavior, the behavior of teams, leaders, attackers, stakeholders, and increasingly intelligent systems. And honestly, I think that changes what governance means completely. Thank you for listening. I'm Luigi Ferri, and this was the ITSM Practice Podcast. Arrivederci.